Coming up, we're going to give you a chance to win our free money question of the day. $100, $200, or $300 in cash. We had a couple of winners last week, and we're going to be sitting around wondering, will we have another one coming up today? We'll find out. Coming up. So over the announcement came over the weekend. Big headlines. It was quite a headline in the OD. Above the fold, huge letters. The hospital finalized. It's coming to downtown Utica. That has made a lot of people happy, and it's made some a little bit unhappy. One of those is Jim Brock. Brock from Utica, who owns an insurance agency, has been part of the Not Downtown movement. And we spoke with him early on, and he's in the OD today. I believe it was today or yesterday, talking about it. Was it yesterday in the OD or today, Jim?
We were in the OD this morning.
This morning. Well, I don't know. I read it this morning. I don't have it in front of me, but I think today. Anyway, you have questions, right?
Well, Bill, we've had questions from before the announcement to even consider downtown was formally made. And what's really troubling is that each drip, if you will, of information that's coming out is taking more and more buildings downtown. Over the weekend, we learned that potentially now the police station, as well as the new police garage that, by the way, hasn't even been paid for yet, will be part of the demolition. The whole thing is so disingenuous because they refuse to clearly outline and show our community, in fact, how many businesses and buildings will be bulldozed downtown. It's also kind of interesting over the weekend, Mr. Para from the hospital said that it's about the same cost to go downtown versus the St. Luke's campus, and yet the chair of the hospital board at the South Utica meetings clearly said it was far less expensive. One, he pointed out they already own the land at St. Luke's. Two, he pointed out that at St. Luke's you can utilize surface parking rather than parking garages, which we all know is far cheaper and maintaining them far easier. So an awful lot of inconsistencies. We also know that trying to acquire the land downtown, either A, overpaying the owners who want to sell, or B, fighting them in court by way of eminent domain is going to be a very costly piece in addition.
All right. I'm going to ask you.
Jim, I just had a thought. I know you just talked about parking, and that is an expensive issue and an important one. I had the thought that maybe they were trying to kill two birds with one stone. There's always talk about parking needed downtown. They figure, hey, we're going to put one in. We can put one in, and it can serve as the hospital, the odd, and some parking downtown. Are you hearing that at all? Do you think that?
Well, I have heard that, and, my concern is that if we are going to demolish buildings that we are obviously going to have to replace, whether it's the police station itself, whether even it may be the courts, the police garage, at what cost are we going to be doing this?
Yeah.
And I'd ask all of you, as well as your listeners, to think about this. If you had a blank slate and you were going to design a city from scratch, would you ever put your major entertainment and sports facility directly across the street from your medical center, with all of your streets dead-ending except for potentially 4 of them? I mean, we are talking about something that makes no sense if you were starting from scratch.
Don't you
so
see
why
it, though?
would you do it starting at this juncture?
Don't you see it in other cities, though? I mean, you see hospitals near big, downtown areas. The other thing that I would say, first of all, back to the parking garage, there are economic development studies when they look at areas and they look at open lot parking areas versus parking garages, and that is one of the indicators of an area that is financially strapped is open lot parking lots that for some reason, I don't know the methodology behind it, but that parking garages indicate progress where open lots indicate, well, a building was taken down and we turned it into a parking lot.
Well, Bill, I think that gets into a whole different discussion when we're trying to compare costs. As you
I'm talking about, well, you're saying that there's no reason to put it downtown, and what I'm saying is, you mentioned the parking garage. I think a parking garage would be a a benefit to the area, number one. And then you look at places like the Carrier Dome, which is right next to the entire, obviously right next to the college, but the hospital is right there and tied to the college, and that of course is part of Syracuse's downtown.
Well, Bill, it's part of Syracuse's university campus, and that's where the combination of eds and meds are so critical. You know, our opposition likes to talk about eds and meds, but they leave the and out. The only thing they want to put downtown are the meds. It's critical that we continue to develop the synergy up at the St. Luke's campus with Utica College and create our own eds and meds district. When you just simply want to move the meds part downtown, you're not creating a living environment where people are going to go home at 5 p.m. That's the vibrancy of a downtown. Not how many people arrive at 8 a.m., but how many people come home at 5 p.m. and therefore utilize your downtown, your restaurants, your bars, your shops, because they're physically living there. The biggest problem is they talk about a study, they refuse to share it with the community.
Well, they're going to, correct me if I'm wrong, they're going to have a press conference next week.
And I think these are really, as I said in the OD, these are really critical questions that not only you folks, who, by the way, have done a really good job in the media trying to have these questions asked, but you've got to demand the answers. And every person in our community, not only those in the city of Utica, have to demand answers. How is this going to impact our tax base? And tell us exactly which streets you're closing, exactly which buildings you're taking down. And if you are taking down the police station and you are taking down the new police garage and potentially the courts, where are you putting them and at what cost to the city of Utica?
Two things. Don't you think that the governor, as part of the plan, wants this to go downtown, and that's why maybe the money was left out of the budget and then put back in? That's number one. And number two, how long do you really think it would take for private money to develop that area, which is really a broken down part of the city of Utica right now?
Bill, where others see blight, we see opportunity. What we have seen in the last few years is that our community is coming back building by building, street by street in downtown Utica. And you've seen it. It's starting to flourish. And
but Jim, can I
opening, and they're doing all of this without demolishing 34 acres of blocks.
But that comeback is totally based on an infusion of a ton of money from New York State. I mean, we're talking about the arterial project and the ODD. I mean, that is all money that's been infused. It's not that all of a sudden private industry came in and said, hey, let's invest here. And then the money that's going into nanotechnology. I think this seems to be part of the plan. I don't know how. There is no progress without this state money. I don't see it.
But, Bill, no one's opposing the state money.
Yeah.
So let's clarify that point. We're talking about where is it economically feasible to put the new hospital. And that would be where the chair himself of the hospital board said at St. Luke's, once the money from the MV 500, which was $85 million for the infrastructure to put it downtown, was lost.
Here's Beth, who wants to pipe in. She is an employee, MVHS employee on the parking issue. Beth, go ahead. You're on the radio. And Jim Brock, who is one of the opponents, is on as well.
Hi, Beth.
I just wanted to make the comment. There's no way you can save money by not building a parking garage, because even if they put a new hospital in where the current hospital is, you'd have to build a parking garage. We worked there. You're circling that lot and circling that lot to find a place to park now.
It is the worst. It is the worst problem. The parking over at Faxton or at St. Luke's is so bad. And the parking garage at St. E's is in rough shape.
Right.
Well, it certainly is, Bill, but I'm only going by what the chair of the board of the hospital said at the South Utica meeting when asked what the difference would be in parking with putting it downtown versus at the St. Luke's campus. He said the St. Luke's campus would have surface parking. That came from the chair. That did not come from me, and that's on the record.
All right, Beth, you want to add to that?
I would just wonder how many times the chair comes to the hospital and parks and how far he's got to walk to get to the building.
Okay. All right,
Beth,
Beth.
he probably gets to park pretty close, I would think.
You might be right there, but Jim, to assume, and I've heard people say, listen, we have 3 hospitals right now, everything is fine. It really isn't, though. I mean, do you really think?
Bill, our group's not adadvocating that everything is fine.
Yeah.
And I think
you want it up at at the very least, potential up at St. Luke's.
Well, and again, we know that the hospital board approved it as the alternate site. Our problem with the announcement this weekend is that simply because the money went back into the budget, by the way, and it said for Oneida County. It did not say for downtown Utica. We applaud the fact that the money came back in, but that doesn't mean that now it's automatically going downtown. The same issues existed prior to the money going back in that existed before.
Can I ask you? I want to ask you ask you a question sincerely, and I love an honest answer.
I love giving you honest answers, Bill. That's
I know you do.
Kind I know.
Okay, here's my question: Is there anything, honestly, that the MVHS or anybody is going to be able to, politicians, is there anything anyone could say to you that would make you say, you know what, downtown is a good spot, I'm with you?
That would be an awfully hard hurdle to overcome, but at least a start toward that would be them actually giving us an outlined map showing us which buildings were coming down.
Well, they're saying that they can't.
Hold on, Bill. What studies were done? What criteria was used to do those studies and lay it out completely for not only the taxpayers, which I am one of in the city of Utica, but the residents of our community and our region.
And they're saying that they're saying that they cannot give you that until the architect finishes the plan, so they don't know what's coming down as of yet because the architect is not completed
Bill,
as of
we're
yet.
entitled to the study that said they should even go downtown in the first place.
Well, they're having a press. I don't mean to be
the biggest investment being made in Utica and our region in years other than nanotech.
Yeah.
We have a right as taxpayers to know. The political class does not have a right to simply say, this is how it's going to be, and you will follow in line. They work for us.
There is a press conference, what I was trying to say, a press conference next week where some of these questions might get answered. I guess David
I think it's going to be exciting, Bill.
Will you be there? I can only hope.
We'll certainly have people there if they'll let us in, but we don't know if it'll be a secretly held one, but we hope you're there.
Yeah. Dave, you're on. Go ahead.
Yeah, Bill, my son used to work at the police station in maintenance.
Yeah.
And that building is totally beat.
The police station, I'm hearing that too. Yep.
Yeah, this might be a good opportunity for the city to get a new state-of-the-art police facility at maybe a reasonable cost.
And Dave, isn't, and Jim, I don't think you need to be a rocket scientist to figure out that that is the plan, that in one giant swoop, they're going to clean up a very difficult area of downtown Utica, complete the quote-unquote master plan of transforming downtown Utica, and maybe at the same time getting a brand-new state-of-the-art police department. I really believe that that's the general thinking here.
But Bill, think about this.
For it.
I understand that, Dave. I appreciate that, Dave. So based on what Dave said and what I said, Jim, how do you respond?
Well, Bill, I think Dave does bring up a good point. Certainly the building is an older one. It has issues. But the real question, it begs the real question. We've heard so many different reasons why this has to go downtown. One, it has to go downtown to improve health and accessibility. Now we're talking about, it also has to be our economic engine to save downtown. Now we're talking about, this is a way to get a new police station. What is it? They need to come forward with a very clear plan, and most importantly, the cost that the taxpayer will have to bear. Bill, those of us who pay taxes in the city of Utica can't pay much more.
Yeah.
Who is going to be saddled with this?
Well, we'll find out. I do have Anthony Pacini coming on next hour at 8:17. If you want to mark your clock there, Jim, he'll be on next hour to address this as well. All right.
Well, I always appreciate coming on, Bill. You all do a fine job in the morning, and really do. Thank you.
All right, Jim, thank you. I appreciate it.
Have a great one.
Okay.
I just did-
going to be interesting.
Just one question on the police station. Not a question, I guess.
I heard the police station coming down part when this first started in.
Right, and it's old, but it's right next door to the new city courthouse. Is that part
the
of
city
it?
courthouse, I'm told, this is what I've been
It's
told.
really close.
City courthouse would not come down.
Okay.
But the police station would. And if you have the opportunity...
No, I'm not
You know,
saying anything against it.
I mean,
for or
I
against,
like
to be
the
honest
fact
with you.
that they can clean that area. Listen, we all know that area pretty well. It is to think that, and I understand what Jim is saying is that, you know, private investment. To how long would it take for private investment to fix up that area the way this will do it in just 4 or 5 years? It would take you decades. I really believe it.
so.
And I think this is part of the plan of transforming downtown into a modern downtown that can attract new industry and new business and new people and growth. I'm kind of with it, kind of with it. So next hour we'll talk to Tony Pacini and see what he has to say about that. The county executive will tight. Donald Trump coming to the area. That's what we're being told. It could happen. And a Trump supporter is on to explain the deal coming up next on WIBX.